Hi, I'm Dennis with Denny Cranium. You'll get real tech, real opinions. If you found your way here on purpose, thank you very much. Thanks to all my subscribers. You're appreciated more than you know. If for some reason a YouTube algorithm brought you here, we're glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here. If you're a subscriber to my page, and I encourage everybody to do so, you'll know that we're about to do a deep dive on some IEMA product, an IEMA D20 DAC streamer and an IEMA A20 mono amp. But and we'll get to that. So like and subscribe, and you'll get to see that video when it's ready. But talking to somebody last night, and they said, what speakers are you going to use? And I stopped for a minute. I went, I don't know. And they showed me a few. It was in an electronics store. They showed me a few that they thought might do the trick. And they're a great store. They're great guys. But they sell a little higher end, mid to higher end. And one of the core goals or core best practices of Denny Cranium is product that punches above its weight class. In other words, what you get is what you get for what you pay for it exceeds expectations. And these speakers here for years have been the favorites of many YouTubers. A lot of people in my community that we talk about on Reddit and on there's another one, I can't recall it, Facebook, that one. A lot of people like these for people that like doing comparisons. I want to compare this amp to this amp, this DAC to this different DAC. So these are a great reference pair, if I can use that, term. So now for us, we've taken the term audiophile and taken it for ourselves to mean we're on a journey. We're on an audio journey to squeeze the most fidelity we can out of the product we use. We want to get the best sound quality that we can out of the equipment that we use, whether it's a DAC or a pair of speakers or an amp or you name it. We're not audiophiles in the sense that you have to spend this much money on an amp. You need to have these kind of interconnects. You need this type of power conditioner. And while folks like that, if they want to buy that stuff and they get enjoyment out of it, great. We're a judgment-free zone. Everybody here is welcome to learn about this hobby. Although I doubt if you've got a $15,000 amp, you're in the right place. Eventually we'll get there to evaluate product that's that kind of money. But right now we're looking for, like I said it before, product that gives good value, and as I like to say, it punches above its weight class. So for what you pay for it and what you get is excellent value. So these guys here from Sony, they're a three-way speaker. Let me take the grill off. And so if this is old hat to you, I apologize. But a three-way speaker means there's three components in the cabinet. So bigger ones are usually, or not usually, they're always the woofer or mid-woofer. You've got a mid-range or tweeter in the middle, or another tweeter or super tweeter. And the bigger the driver, You'll get bigger notes like bass, mid-range like voices, and then tweeter for your high frequencies. And then as far as measurements go, these guys are 13 1/4 inches high. They're 7 1/8 inches wide, and they're 8 3/4 inches deep. Maximum power is 100 watts. And that's a lot for a small pair of speakers like this. Now they need an amplifier to power them. They're not Bluetooth. They're not powered with a volume control. You need an amp or a receiver or a combination thereof to power them. They don't just run by themselves. So they've got let's call it a 5-inch woofer. They say high precision tweeter for faithful sound, and then a wide dispersion super tweeter to create an expansive sound stage. And a sound stage is different, is like left to right. How wide is that left to right stage? And how high is it? Like, does the singer sound like they're 6 feet tall, or do they sound like they're 2 feet tall? And then the depth of sound stage. Can you place the drummer behind the singer? Those are all things that we look for when we look for fidelity in a speaker. Now, it talks a lot about the componentry for premium sound. What it's made out of. So I like the smooth finish. It doesn't show fingerprints on it like some piano key speakers can do. And then it's high-res audio. So 53 to 50,000 or 50 kilohertz. Now, if you look at specs, you may see 20 hertz to 20,000 or 20 kilohertz. 53 is adequate for these speakers. If you need lower bass than that, then you need a subwoofer, a powered subwoofer that will take over the lower frequencies. But this frequency response for a speaker this size is excellent. Now you'll notice I have these isoacoustic stands under them. They don't come with them. With the speakers, I always use something like this to get speakers up off the shelf, because when you're playing bass, it bounces off, it comes off of here, and if the speaker is right on the shelf, it bounces back into the woofer, and it can cancel out some of the bass. So some people go that it doesn't do it. I'm a big believer in that getting them up off the floor, the shelf, the stand is a low-cost way to improve the sound. Isoacoustics makes different sizes, one's for subwoofers, one's for all sizes of speakers. Now they always come in a set of 4. I just run them with 2 here, especially the small. Some of them you can get 4 and get them even higher up off the stand, or some of them have different lengths and you can angle them to help with your sound stage. And this pair here is, I believe, $129 Canadian, which is about 95 US dollars. So if you wanted to improve these speakers, and you were speaking to me or someone in the Cranium community, a lot of us would recommend, instead of going and spending $300 or $400 or $500 or $600 on another pair of bookshelf speakers, what you'll hear from a lot of us is invest in a pair of these isoacoustic stands first. And then there's also a company called Hudson Hi-Fi, and I believe they're in New York City. and they make little rubber feet for your speakers, and they get them up off the floor or ground or shelf, and they're a little less money, but they're a great low budget way to uncouple your speaker from the shelf or stand that they sit on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use these speakers for pretty much whatever we test, unless we're testing speakers, but then we're always going to use these as our comparison speaker. How do they sound compared to these? Or and then how we're going to do things here at Denny Cranium is we're going to do unboxing videos because they're fun. We'll open the box and show you what's inside. Then we'll do what are called first impressions videos. I'm going to hook up an amp. I'm going to hook up these IEMA amps to this and that DAC streamer. And I'm going to play, 30 seconds of a song, a minute of a song, I'll listen 3 or 4 or 5 minutes total and say, what are my first impressions of this? And I'll say, you know what? If you're ready to go for $250, grab these speakers. They're great value. I'd say grab them now anyways. They've been great value for years. As far as the IEMA tests that we're going to do, we're going to do this amp, and we're going to do 2 of them, one for the right channel, one for the left channel. And the beauty of having, that's called mono, running it in mono, you'll get better sound separation, more power, and again, more fidelity. Okay, and I'll go over prices and what have you when we do that test. And then we're going to use this D20 DAC streamer. And we're going to connect this to those 2 IEMA amps. And then we'll give you first impressions of the equipment. Then I'll do the deep dive. And then I'll tell you as to whether or not, after living with this stuff for a couple of weeks, is it worth the money that they're looking for, or is it worth investing in? I promise I'll always respect your budget. Respecting your budget means I'll also tell you if it makes sense to spend an extra $100 or an extra $50 or to spend less, because you do get what you pay for sometimes in this hobby. And if you cling to a price point too hard, like you say, I've got $200 and I'm not going over it, you may do yourself a disservice, because there may be a pair of speakers that are $250 or $300 that are night and day different than your $200 speakers. And I'll do it in reverse. I'll also tell you, hey, you know what? For $50 less, you can get a much better value. And a lot of times, these Sony speakers are the better value against the $500 or $600 pair of speakers. And I'll tell you that if that's the case. Now, as far as sponsors go, it's me. It's Dennis. I use my own resources to buy the product and tell you my thoughts. I'm not getting it from a manufacturer who may encourage me to say certain things, or nudge me about certain things to mention. I'll always be upfront with you. I'll always call balls and strikes as I see them. And then if there's if something does something well or great, I'll tell you. If there's an opportunity for improvement, I'll tell you. Or if there's a part of it that falls down, I'll tell you. And if it's worth buying, I'll let you know. If it's not worth buying, I'll recommend that you give it a miss. So if you like that idea of how we want to curve a lane, how we want to carve a lane on the YouTube highway, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. It's free. It's everybody's favorite price. It's free, and it's the best way for me to help you, and it's the best way for you to help anyone else that may be interested in this hobby. So you'll get notifications when there's a new video. And then for people like yourself that are interested in speakers and audio and what have you, the YouTube algorithm will put this in front of more people. So I appreciate you spending this time with us. We're excited to have everybody here, and we're excited for our next deep dive with the IEMA DAC streamer and the A20 mono amplifiers. Okay, listen to some good music wherever you are. And remember, the most important thing in our lives is our families. Please make sure you tell them how much you love them. All right, have a good night, everybody. Cheers.